this week, which is interesting.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I've had it 3 times, I think, at least. And each time, first time I was like, oh, I have to go to jury duty. And then all of a sudden I went and I realized how wonderful it is that no one can call you. Like, and while you wait, like, I think I waited at least 3 days the one time in the jury, like in the room with full Wi-Fi, like total time to myself to catch up on whatever I was doing. And I'm like,
so true.
Not bad. So
that's cool.
Again, it's like this mind shift of like how we choose to look at a situation or not, like how we choose to do something or how we have to react or respond. So at first I was like, oh my God, I have to go to jury duty and what am I going to, and then I got there and I was like, all right, I'm going to take full advantage of this. This is like flying an airplane where no one can touch you. Like they can't bug you. They can't get you. I'm like, all right, this is a whole nother mind shift level for me.
I know. That's cool. So true. It is so true. And it's interesting too, you know, like the actual process behind
the process of it. Yeah.
And it takes forever. Like, oh my gosh, like everything they do takes like 10 times what normal time is.
I know. And well, that's our pizza-driven society as well too. We're like, no, there's a faster way to do this. Wait, have you integrated any of these new processes or anything? Don't you know about them?
I give you a class.
Why U.S. government is in such a shambles because processes and procedures probably go back to the Constitution.
Seriously.
That's no joke.
Found it.
Well, we have, I don't know if one member already so we have 2 new members and one is definitely not going to make, I think you both know my girlfriend, Leanne.
Yeah.
So Leanne will be joining us at the last minute. Grandson has something and she feels obligated to be there. So I was like, well, here's the link. If you want to just listen. So I'm going to catch her up to speed tomorrow and then she'll be in.
Awesome.
And one other one that I'm just waiting to just give her like 1 more minute to see if she comes in and then we'll introduce her. But I'm just trying to get rid of a bunch of tabs that I have open for 30 seconds while we're doing this. So we're going to go into just a 2-second recap of our, like where we are in our progressive journey here on like how dialed in are we to habit 1 and habit 2. If Laura joins in with us, we'll go back over a little bit more of habit 2 and the why, but it is very things we don't think of on a normal basis. Like I came across this in like one of my beginning slides that I probably did a year ago. And it's this science almost on the basically the sleep deprivation, and it's a quick little thing. So it just says, when things fall apart, how sleep deprivation destroys our health. And as we get more and deeper into this, in even our own lives, as we've gone through different cycles of our life, like so many years, if you don't have a ton of kapha in you, you like sleep doesn't matter. Sleep doesn't, it just doesn't mean if you wake up and feel rested, then everything must be okay. And through a certain amount of times, maybe that does happen. But unless you're on like a spiritual level, like a yogi, some type of a monk or something that is so spiritually enlightened, and within the word enlightened is light. So they really integrate so much of, I'm sorry, someone's asking for the call again. I mean, the link. Do you girls mind 1 second? I'm just going to
No, go ahead. Yeah, of course.
Sorry, I had a really good thought there too. So they're in the light, like stage of their being, like they physically have a lightness that they are tapping into on a daily basis, which a lot of times will give you, no, not a lot of times, most times it will give you the ability to have less sleep. But us as a society, as we know, we are not to the levels of have practiced so much yoga and enlightenment and all this within our own practices that we have become a society of not understanding that spiritual level and tapping into it regularly. So as he says here, this is from Chris Kesser. And again, when things fall apart, that's what his topic is about, how sleep deprivation destroys our health. So fewer than 6 hours of sleep per day is in association with low-grade chronic inflammation and worsening insulin resilience, as well as increased risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, as we are aware of now. But we're associating that on a day-to-day basis as it's genetic, it's hereditary, it's, you're a little stressed out. It's not only all of those elements. As we really start to try to dial in that more sleep in our, in our daily routine, and then in our yearly routine, we're going to, of course, Kaizen it as much as possible and be realistic about it. Like sometimes, summertimes, different times a year, you're probably going to go to bed a little bit later, whatever. But I think as you are learning, kind of coming through these habits and through a couple quarters now, the benefits of just saying, disconnect, I've had enough, I'm going to bed. It works for me now. So this is highly significant in light of the respective cross-sectional study demonstrating that nearly 1/3, think of how many people are in the United States, US adults get less than 6 hours of sleep a night. So I'm totally guilty of this from way back. I would just go all day and then take my time and actually stay up later to be creative, stay up later to have some, time to myself or do whatever. And I was constantly doing it. And as I've said in other calls, finally the clock, the world, it just pulled my plug and said, you're done. You're not listening to me. All these little signs are showing that you're breaking your body down, which leads to autoimmune disease. And we're contributed mainly to stress and all that, but it's the combination of stress, diet, lifestyle. Our diets are atrocious in the, standard American diet and the Western culture of eating. And as we go back into habit one, that earlier, later dinner, that's complete opposite of what we've turned this whole society into. It's earlier, later dinner is really not in a topic, and it's how can you make this big, elaborate, beautiful dinner and eat the whole thing at 9 o'clock at night? So as we've known, we've kind of gone through this a little bit where we're coming out of that, but inadequate rest impairs our ability to think, handle stress, and maintain a healthy immune system. And to be able to moderate our emotions as we wake up and we're not fully rested and we're not ready to go. We can all attest for it totally sabotages our emotional well-being. You're cranky, you're short-tempered, you have no ability sometimes to really, really focus and think and work. If you're on a big project or you're dealing with a lot of people that day, say you stayed up late doing your, do a PowerPoint or something, or you did so many days of entertaining clients, you really can't focus the next day. You're like, oh my God, I have to think, or wait a second, my project is, right now it's falling apart, or where are my slides? It's not, where'd my deck go? That whole process, if we reverse engineer it, it went back to too many days of probably living out of sync, going to bed later, putting too much on our plate, literally big, gigantic dinners. So we have to think of earlier, later dinner as a precursor to that early to bed. And then again, why is it so important? Because we kind of don't want to add to hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. And actually, of course, as we're learning now, most reasons we are staying up late too, we're on screens. So we're losing our eyesight, earlier, younger children, being on our devices all the time. People's actual postures are declining, and they're declining in the middle school, which is horrendous to hear, to really think that If you look at children carrying their backpacks around class, it used to be that, like they were so, pulling this way. And now it's this, like they have an older person's posture already. That alone, how many kids are allowed to go to bed taking their device with them? So like you have any young children in your world or in your immediate future, try to like actually impose a little bit of, a helpful structure to them. Like I know they don't want to listen, but it's throwing off everything. Their chemical reactions to things. It's all being disturbed. So if we go back into, I'm sure everybody's aware of, we went into the doshic clock probably a few times. Oh, and you know what? Let me back up here 30 seconds. Have we gone into, back into, Ashley sent me hers, I think, into the dosha, like back into the dosha quiz. Has anyone had a change in theirs or a real shift? So we know so if you don't remember, your Prakruti is what you were born with. That's your real absolute makeup from when your parents conceived you. So, and it all goes back into that, that ancestry, what was going on in those genetic makeups to make you at that point. But not only that, if you really get into it and you really believe, which I'm a strong believer because I have 3 children, and it's amazing to think of their doshas and what my life was like at that time of their conception. So you have to add in genetics, of course, and ancestry and all this, but then it's so spot on for my 3 kids. It's so fun. So you go into like, what was the weather? What was the time of year? What was your emotional state? Like, what were you doing at that time of when you physically created your children, or if you have nieces and nephews, you kind of try to think what went on with them, or, your own siblings, like, what you're like is pretty much kind of what happened to your parents when they conceived you. Where were they in life? Was it really stressful? Was it a joyful time for them? Was it the middle of the winter? Was it fun and relaxed summer? It's so funny. Even some people that have extreme kapha and things, they might have been born conceived in the dead of winter or that early spring, where it's really heavy, it's wet and it's heavy. And that adds to their prakruti, like how they actually get conceived. So that's our conception of how we were born, is our prakruti. Now our vikruti, we can use Sanskrit words because you ladies kind of understand. That is our imbalance. And our imbalance can be seasonal. It can be yearly. Sometimes it doesn't change for years. If you are someone who is really impracticed in your behaviors and you are in control of your lifestyle and your stress levels as you get better to this, maybe your immune and your health integrity, if you're really like in line with this, yours might not shift that much because you might either understand those subtleties more quickly. We're listening to our bodies, which we're going to get into later. It's kind of fun. Your IQ, your SQ, your BQ, and your EQ. So hold that thought. So you go into these stages of Vikruti. So things could happen in super stressful trauma happens in your life, or something now like with COVID. So many people went through the disease stages of, the stages of disease through COVID, where their Vikruti was absolutely, that was their imbalances, like everything. So you can kind of start to pay attention to what that is and be able to start balancing your body. But if we're not giving ourselves that recovery time every night, so our bodies can be in 2 different levels. And the rest is going to help us stay in rest and digest. The body wants to stay either digesting and resting, or in fight or flight, stress, overreactive, like break down the body, break down the brain, the emotions, your spirit. Like when you are in that habit loop, it just little by little keeps breaking down until you have a complete outbreak. But if you could sort of pay attention to things that are reoccurring or signs in your body is showing you, then you can sort of pay attention to your Vikruti. And as you learn in this course, you start to become your own healer. You're really becoming intuitive to what's going on in your body, what's shifting, what's changing, good and bad. Like when we have something really good happen, we can say, holy gosh, like kind of following these different steps to make things better, and it's happening, it's working. So the rest and digest is so important, because as we've learned, as we've gone through, earlier to bed gives you that ability to rest and digest. You're going to rest and recoup on all that energy, and you're not borrowing from tomorrow's energy. But the digestion is so important. So we're going to digest the emotions. We're going to digest all that stress that went on. All this has to happen at night. And if we've precursored it with an earlier, later dinner that's making this process easier, we're giving ourselves like an extra check mark. So if we're not so heavily, weighed down with food, trying to digest that late dinner and all that, your sleeping is not going to be as easy and free, and you're not going to really get that restful and that digestion, which is everything that you're digesting, your emotions, you're digesting everything you saw, everything you took in your five senses, to figure like what you did all day long, everything you heard, loud noises, too many, things coming on, devices. I was hiking on the beach all while we were away. And one thing that I wasn't told as a child that I really didn't pay a whole bunch of attention to was the wind in your ear is really like, it's kind of detrimental to a lot of things, because the space in our body, we have the five elements, the ears and the nose, the cavities are really vast in here. And you're not paying attention to you're at the beach and the wind is blowing, but when it's really windy and it's blowing in your ears really forcefully, it's creating that echo in there or that extra vibration. And if some children, especially when you're in kapha, you have excess water in your body or that mucus, and that's how they can get infections very easily, because it gets in and it gets caught in that mucus and water. But for us adults, as we get older, it actually kind of dries out a little bit. But that wind can really create a disturbance in our body. People who have said they've gone away or done things, and out of nowhere, they have vertigo. Like, what happened? That has a lot to do in the older years. As we get into vata, we dry out a little bit. So everything dries out. So when I was hiking or walking in the morning, I was fortunate enough to see the sunrise every morning. So I was out there, and a couple mornings were really windy. And I remembered like what my, teachers had told us, to put your hood, if you have a hood or you have a jacket or something, put it on and block the wind from your ears, or if you're out and it's really windy and you have headphones. But like, you wouldn't think of something like that. Like, the wind is beautiful and it's blowing on it, but that constant wind into your ears, very disturbing to that space cavity, that space element in our body. So that's just another little side thing that our senses. So I was taking all of that into, but the beauty of the sunrise, those are like the beauty of the five senses. So if you take care of particular things, you'll be able to use the five senses. But the circadian rhythm, getting to bed earlier, gave me the ability to get up earlier and watch the beauty of a sunrise every morning and have total rest, because I got 7.5 hours of rest and was still up at the dawn, because I went to bed earlier. So I was like, intentionally engineering this to happen. So the body's taking in all that we're doing, especially, you women on this call is basically turned into healthy, powerful women, is what I've kind of changed this segment to, because this group is very dynamic, powerful women, but you're learning how to handle it all and become a healthy, powerful woman. Because as your health engages and becomes more stable, and we're able to see that Vikruti has this imbalance to constantly take us out of balance, we are going to have this ability to be our own little chemistry lab and be able to keep ourselves back in balance, back to what our Prakruti is. So that rest at night is so important. It is so important to rest and digest everything that went on. So just think of even today, like, I didn't have a whole bunch coming in, but you wake up, you do your routine, you go to work, and you're looking at screens, you're hearing things. If you work, like sometimes at work, I actually have to put my hand, like if there's loud machines going on everywhere, like, and your skin, you don't realize it, but like I had the sun on my skin, I had the wind on my skin. Your skin is the largest organ of your body. So it's taking in the wind, the sun, all the chemicals. For years, we were putting all those beautiful fruity, oils and lotions and everything that we could, that like draws into your skin so fast. Like anything you put on your skin draws in and is either really beneficial or can be really disturbing. But your body's trying to process all of this at night. And if we don't give it adequate time, the brain has brain fog in the morning, even your sight in the morning. Like you know how you feel like, oh my gosh, the sandbags are in my eyes, the Sandman was there, and everything's off a little bit. Maybe once or twice a week or something, not a big deal. But when it's time after time after time, it breaks the body down and it starts this disease, this whole disease pattern, which is pretty scary, actually. So let me see, I'm going to screen share back to the dosha clock for a quick minute, because it's pretty, it's important to know why. So you ladies can see this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as we go back into, because we're going to, different times we're going to come back into this, because you kind of know it and you kind of know that you remember it. See if I can make it bigger, just so we can see it. So the doshas and the dosha clocks, they all kind of coincide with each other. They all have meaning, but remember, they all have energy. So as we have that pitta time, that's that. So we're specifically now talking about earlier to bed. So we're going to do the pitta in the evening, that 10 p.m. to that 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to, you call it that second wind. And I used to be like, oh, it was great. It was easy. I had that second wind and I powered through it. It was excellent. I didn't go to bed till 3 a.m. I accomplished everything, got back up at 5, and blah, blah, blah. Doing that year after year after year, my Vata body finally pulled the plug and said, guess what? You're not listening. You're out of here. We're giving you panic and anxiety. We're just hitting you with a whole bunch of things until you wake up. But so that 10 p.m. to that 2 a.m. is pitta time, which is fire in water. It's hot, it's sharp, it's spreading, it's oily, it's tense. All of those things being said, the energy of pitta is fire. Pitta goes up. So the energy in any organs, things in your body, even think of heat, heat rises. So pitta is the energy of upward motion. Kapha is downward motion. Kapha is grounding. Kapha is, real stable. It's substance. It's heavy. It's all downward movement in Kapha. It grounds us to the earth. Vata is every direction, and it's light and it's airy and all. But in Pitta, if we stay up, say so many people are in tune to going to bed at midnight. So if you go to bed at midnight, you are tapping into that Pitta energy. That's where you truly get, which now I've learned to call the evil second wind, because you're tapping into upward motion. You're tapping back into fire. The fire element is cleansing. So think of like a forest fire. It's devastating, but back in nature, what is the purpose of a forest fire? It's to clean out. It's to recreate new space. So at night when we're resting, that's what we're doing in our body. The digestive fire, it's breaking down our emotions. It's breaking down all of the food for the day. It's getting that all sent down into that, Vata space and time that comes, and then evacuation. So if we allow that to happen in sleep, that's the perfect. But a lot of people are going to bed, I would say in Western culture, at least between like 10 and 11 and 12. So you've already passed that 10, so that 11 to 12, that energy now is rising again. Remember I said it's cleansing the brain, it's cleansing the body, but it is truly a second wind. And once we take something out of the bank account in energy wise, you truly can't replace it. You can try to, rest or do your, eating good foods and all that. Absolutely. That will help. That will encourage the body to rebuild again. But if we do this time after time, if we're constantly in bed by 12-1 every single night, we're borrowing and borrowing and borrowing from that surplus, maybe if we're lucky enough, we've actually built up a surplus. But not only that, that's where a lot of disease starts to set in. And we're such a culture of not realizing it and we actually thrive more on like, oh, I only need 4 to 5 hours to sleep, or I don't go to bed early. I'm up late on my computer, typing away for tomorrow's, meetings or whatever we have to do. But it gives us this sense of feeling that like when you work late at night and you don't honor, we'll get into in 2 minutes into the kapha time at night. When you are working in that pitta, fire, go, complete, compete mode, you're not putting your mind, your body into that restful night. You're not really getting into that rest and recoup stage of the night. You're kind of going to bed with a feeling of I'm behind. I didn't finish it all. I didn't get it done. My meeting's not going to go right tomorrow. My presentation's going to be off. So you're already putting those thoughts for tomorrow in your sleep pattern. So it's like detrimental to be doing these certain things unless, as I said, it's a couple times, a month you have to do it. Most people just have to finish a project or do something. It's not going to harm you. But if we do it day after day after day, we are in this feeling of almost anxiety and stress before we even try to rest. If you're lucky enough and you're that kind of person that just hits the sheets and you go to bed, then you're going to sleep, but your body's still processing all that I'm behind. I didn't finish it today. It's not done yet. It's not perfect yet. I have a little bit more to do. My calendar, I didn't finish. That's not an easeful way to go to bed at night. That's putting too much on your plate because you're going to wake up that way. So you're actually, and then say you're in a situation like when my kids were little, if I was in that mode, you wake up and you're kind of like, all right, I'm already behind. Like now I have to get up early. Now I'd have to get everybody else up early, or I have to get to work earlier because what I didn't finish last night, I have to finish now. And if we do that 7 days a week or 5 days a week for work, we're constantly behind or catching up. The body's in that anxiety, worry, stress mode all the time. Like it becomes this intense habit loop of almost being that way. Like then you start saying to yourself, as we're learning, that's your identity. That's who you are, but you've created it. So if you created it, you can undo it, but there has to be a mindfulness to be able to recognize it and understand. And again, if you're eating those later dinners, you're going to bed with that worry and that anxiety. When you hold on to emotions and things like that, the body holds on to weight. It also does not allow you to lose weight and become that lighter version of yourself and all, because you're adding all of this stress and anxiety to the body to hold on to things and to kind of like be prepared for that structure and what's coming. I'm not sure what's happening kind of a state. So we're going to try to go out of that and really tap into what is the kapha time at night. So we have our sunrise and our sunset. In the winter, our sunsets are starting to come back in here a little bit more. In the summer, sunsets are way up here. So we have more time to do some fun things. So that kapha time at night, it's downward energy. So if you start recognizing now that there is a thing called kapha and there is a thing called kapha energy, which is that heaviness and that downward motion, kapha goes down. Start to maybe be a little bit more aware of the evening time, say 6 o'clock, 6 to 10, but usually 6 to 8. Maybe you've eaten some time in there. And then have a little bit of activity. Maybe you're 7 to 8 o'clock at night now that it's, you've maybe you're really good at adapting that earlier, later dinner. So you're done. Everything is cleaned up. Now you have some extra time. You can read a book, go for a walk, hang out with your girlfriends, do something with your family members, because you have the time now. You're not cooking, cleaning, like all that we went through last week's session. But one fun thing that I never, ever did, I never even paid attention to it. That pitta in me was like, oh, I can't be tired. That shows weakness, that shows whatever. Like you can't show that you're tired. Keep going till the end. But as Ayurveda taught me, and in school, kapha time of night is this beautiful time of night. So you can start to like engineer yourself to be ready for bed. But a fun thing that I never knew was a thing was starting to feel at the end of, say, that 6 to 7 o'clock hour, start to feel if your body is really understanding that circadian rhythm, that you're starting to feel a little fatigue somewhere. Like maybe your muscles are starting to slow down. Maybe your brain is starting to slow down a little bit if you're not still pushing yourself. But you might have a little bit of fatigue that you either ignore or choose to like push away. But if you can get to the point where you can feel it a little bit, like honor it. Maybe read a book. Maybe you are to the point where you're lucky enough to have some essential oils, or like you're going to get some things ready and you're going to take the time tonight. You're going to take 5 minutes and maybe 9 or so. You're going to like actually rub your feet with some oils, like something good for you. Do you have a hot tub? Do you have a bathtub? Like before bed, maybe try to settle yourself down a little bit, like get into that kapha time at night, start to take that vata energy, that all over, now push it down. Let's get that energy maybe going down a little bit so we can have some different practices to do this. I think I'm pretty sure in your workbook, probably, I think there's pages like 11 and 12 or something. It's like really great do's and don'ts for the evening. The bed flow chart, bed flow chart. You can kind of set up a few things in there. Just give yourself some ideas of like, what would be my perfect routine at night to get myself ready, to be ready to maybe experiment, maybe just one time a week. Like, let's Kaizen this. Let's really try to Kaizen it. And especially remember, I think last quarter, or maybe even the first quarter, so we'll go back over it again. When your motivation is really high, that's when you do something that's really hard. When your motivation is really low, that's when you do the easy things. So when motivation is high, say 1 day a week, we start with, write down a few fun things that you're going to do that are going to be really hard. Like, I'm turning my computers off at 9 o'clock. I am not going to make that last phone call or finish that, whatever. Like, when you're feeling motivated that night, do the hard stuff. If you're kind of wishy-washy and it's one of those nights that you have really great intentions, but you really don't want to do it, then maybe do something a little bit easier. Like maybe you had to stay, close your computer, but maybe you just want to watch 20 minutes of a show and who cares? You're still going to watch TV. But so kind of pick and choose. If you're highly motivated, do the really hard things. Turn all the devices off at 9 o'clock and sit and relax for like a full hour or something. Like, try to do it 1 day a week, because then you might really like it. It might go to 2 days a week. But if you're super low motivation, don't beat yourself up over it. Do the low, easy things. Do something super easy. Wait till 5 minutes before 10, if you're going to bed between 10 and 11, and just rub oil on your feet. 5 minutes, that's it. It's an easy thing, and you'll probably do it because it's easy, and it only took 5 minutes. But that benefit of putting oil on your feet before bed, your feet absorb, especially your big toe. I think we went over this before. If not, again, the receptors in your big toe pull things in really fast. There are a ton of little nadis, these little points, these nerve endings in your toes. So rub it on your big toe, lavender oil, vetiver. Some people use very high pitta, can use like a cedar wood, something like that, depending on what it is for you that's really calming. Make a golden milk, make a chamomile tea, something that's not hard, but it's really enjoyable, and it starts to bring the body down. It brings the mind down. So, experiment with what works for you. What do you have in your house that's free and easy, but might help you get to bed earlier? Because you want to start taking apart that disease cycle. Little by little by little, you want to keep pulling away from this. And as we have found out and learned, the body starts to balance when it's in rhythm. When you're getting that night's sleep, everything starts to come. You're going to start losing weight. You're going to start having more clarity of your mind. Your emotional balance becomes so much nicer. Your relationships, as we said, you just become a more doable human being. It just becomes, everything becomes a little bit more easier, a little bit nicer, a little bit it's a healthier, that healthy, powerful woman. That's what we're doing. We're structuring health to be able to keep our powerfulness. And it's not just in business. You want to be powerful within your own being. Like, you don't want to have to second guess yourself or explain to anyone else why or what you're doing. And if they don't like it, maybe you retract a little bit. We're going to give ourselves the ability to be strong in that like belief, or be strong in that commitment to ourselves, whatever it is that you chose to do for yourself. That's that part of that strength that we're going to kind of keep going and building on, whatever it is. Kevin found the cookie stash.
I was wondering what that noise was.
Yeah, that's the cookie stash.
Yeah, and Deb, it is really funny the how much I kind of took for granted the earlier to bed and just waking up and how it sets you up. And this is like a false sense right now, because being newly pregnant, I'm tired all the time and I can't ever be untired. So it's funny, like, even though I am going to bed, I'm tired, and it's hard. Like, it's harder to make good decisions. It's harder to do this. It's harder to eat good food. It's just crazy how, because I haven't been tired in so long, so I've been trying to focus on going to bed earlier and doing these things.
Yes.
You take it for granted when you get out of it, you know, and it's just a short period of time. I'll feel this way, and it's fine. It'll pass, but it's giving me this humble sense of like remembering what it felt like to burn on all angles and that shitty feeling. And I'm like, it's just proving even more I don't want to ever go back to that lifestyle, you know, because even though it's temporary right now, but it sucks being like tired and like, oh, maybe I will have that quick thing instead of like that other thing I made. Like, my body's looking for, you know, that quick fix because it's so tired.
Yes. Well, that was just the perfect segue into my next thought. So there's 4 of us on this call, and there's 4 different levels of what is going on. And so Ashley, right now, Ashley's feeling that tiredness, that ability to probably sleep on like a bed of thorns, as they would say, like, you know, so right now, her body is doing so many things, and it's multiplying by like the billions and trillions of, you know, a second. So she's trying to maintain health, and she's going to give this body integrity and wisdom into her body, into her mind, into her whole being. So her power right now as a woman, yes, it still has to be the work focus, but she has to keep her integrity to that, what she's doing. So this is an absolute beautiful story of how this really works. Ashley is the perfect example of her what was so strong and so committed, and her why. I think Ashley and I, you do like the 5 whys. I think we went into 9. Like, you just keep asking yourself, why is it so important? Why do you want it? Why do you want it? Why do you want that? Then when you find out the next thing, then you finally get to that core, and you undo things that you never knew you even had in there. Those whys, you never even knew they existed. You get to the bottom core of whatever it is for you, what your why is so important. That's when the change gets made. So Ashley got into those levels all the way. She knew what her what was. Then she got into the why, and then she figured out how to do it. And she had beautiful results. Maureen, you've gone through a ton of emotional and really stressful time in the last year. And say your what was being able to have clarity, closure, or just balance through this. Then you get to your why. Like, why was that important? Because your health and your ability to be there for your family, your children, your grandchildren, whatever it is, or even your mental stability, like that has to be like the what goes deeper, the why. So us women, our healthy like journey here is going to give us that power to whatever we chose as our what. And Laura has a desire right now, as she has told us. No, Laura. He like scooted in, grabbed cookies, and left. So the ability to shift some weight in the body and get rid of this is probably to an emotional holding, or a ancestral kind of a thing, you know, that eating later time, different things, you know, sometimes comes from that. But you have to, so you recognize the what, but your power is going to be also in getting to the deepest level of why. Because when you finally hit it, when that why finally comes, like, there it is, that's the why, that's when the progress really starts to happen. And it happens on such a level that you're like, you're determined. I mean, and you know, the 4 women on this panel have determination, of course, as we've learned, to pretty much do anything we want. And we've learned in life, we can do anything we want. We can have anything we want. We have to just want it badly enough. So our what and our why, and then we get into the how. So there's a really fun, there's these structures. We did one, I think 2 weeks ago or so, liberating structures. So there's a real fun one. It's called TRIZ. And it's you find what your what is, and we can even collectively do it, make up our own right now, but we can go into the habits or think right now what your what is, like what is so important to you. And it's really, really fun. So you kind of go into it like as a lighthearted thing. So say our what is, we want to maintain our healthy, whatever our healthy weight or whatever is, we want to get to that. So for the fun of it, the first question is we go into, I think I pulled it up for us. Okay, you can see right here, the steps in the schedule. So it's really kind of funny. So you go into.
Can't see that yet, Aunt
Your
Deb.
slide's
Sorry, I
still
only
showing
see.
from the clock. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't share it. All right, let me get rid of this share and see if I can share that one. Might have to do my screen. So the basis of it is, here we go. Can you see that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the steps and the schedules. As I said, it's pretty funny, but it works. So you're going to go into, so say the what is going to be lose weight. So right now, because most of society, aside Ashley, you're not on this one. Well, you could.
No.
I mean, there are women that gain 70 pounds when they're pregnant. So actually, you're still on the panel on this. So the first one is, so collectively, I mean, individually first, for 1 minute, you're going to write down on anything, and hopefully you have like a little scrap piece of paper. You're going to write down a list, and I'll give us like a minute or two of everything possible that you can do to gain weight. So really fast, you're going to think of just some silly things. I'm going to eat brownies. I'm going to eat, every 20 minutes during the day. I'm going to drink Coca-Cola. Think of, just write down, take a full minute and just kind of write down everything you could think of to do to gain weight. All right. So I'm going to give us a minute, and go ahead and write down whatever your things you can do in a minute.
These are things I would never do, but this is so funny.
But it's everything. Like, list everything you could think of that would help you gain weight. Okay. Right now, go down that list. Hopefully it's kind of long if you were writing nice and fast. I mean, it was just brainstorming funny stuff, like as much as you can. Go down there and circle the ones that are almost doable. Like you might actually, like you could do a few of these things. So are you doing, like make that second list of, out of this, you're gonna make a second list of maybe choose 5 things. Choose 5 things there
That we would almost do.
that resembles like something that you might be doing.
I have
So,
to
and-
laugh because everything that was on my list is still on the list.
you just took the thought, because I was going to say, girls, be brutally honest. Like if there's anything on this list or any, like a few things that might be on this list that maybe kind of you are doing, you got to circle it. You got to be honest.
So
So
funny.
yeah, mine's beginning to get a little bigger.
Got some creative ones in here.
Yeah. All right. And now the third step, how are you going to stop it? What's your first move? So you can pick out of these, say you chose 3 or 4 or 5 and made a second list. Think of how can I stop this? What is my first move? What would I think to do this? Like what would help me accomplish not doing number 1, number 2, number 3?
Don't buy it.
You just took the words exactly out of my mind.
It's just, I'm like, oh, this is just don't buy it, Maureen.
Some of mine were very fake and unrealistic, like to become the sole judge at a baking competition every day. That would be kind of hard to find.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you're finished. All right, now I'm gonna break us into, I'm gonna stop, I might have to stop sharing this to put us in a breakout room. So since there's 4 of us, I'm gonna come in on one of the rooms and I'm just gonna hit a random. We're gonna go in for those same 4 minutes again. We'll do like 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Now you're gonna share with your person what your list was, 1, 2, and 3. And then switch, and then the other person is going to share theirs 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do the exercise again, like together, but together we're going to come up with the outcome of all of our collectives. What are the real best steps to overcome this, and what's our first move? Okay, so we're going to do 2 and 2 right now.
2 and 3 are the what we're gonna stop doing.
Yeah, 1 is the long list. 2 is
Okay.
we kind of pulled 3 to 5 things out that we really kind of might be doing right now. And then list number 3 was what we do to stop doing that. Okay, got it? All right, I'm going to throw us
Got
into just random breakout room. I don't have no idea who's going to be with who. I have to include myself here. Wait a second. No. Wrong thing. Delete room. Yes. Okay, come on, go. Go away now. All right, Ash, are you out? Who's out? Okay. All right, Mo.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
Okay.
I'll do mine first because it's quite funny. So
Okay.
this was the one, think of everything that you could do like to gain weight, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, of course, sleep less, don't exercise at all, snack all day long, drink beer, drink milkshake, eat lots of fried foods, eat till late at night, and eat ice cream by the half gallon. It's just like, okay.
Those
Yes.
are great.
Yeah.
Those are great. All right, I'll go. Mine was drink Coca-Cola, eat brownies, cookies, and sweets, buy bigger clothes because then I'd fit them.
Oh, yeah.
No exercise, eat ice cream every night,
This is so funny.
cream sauces on my food,
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I couldn't do
extra
it.
helpings, larger breakfast, eat McDonald's, and drink wine.
Oh my God. Yeah. So then I got into and what I didn't list, but when it went to the shorter one was, I said, so some of the things that we could be doing, okay, drink soda, snack at night, eat a heavy dinner now and then, and drink wine because I like my wine, but
Yeah.
not every night, but still.
Yep, but that's what
habits that.
Yep. All right. So
Yeah.
mine was I eat sweets. Like if I start with cookies or something, no exercise. Like sometimes when I do, that's gonna, I do make cream sauces sometimes. Love to eat a larger breakfast sometimes.
Yeah.
And I like to drink wine sometimes. So those were
Yeah.
my real things. All right. So number 3 would be how
You're gonna love mine. Yeah.
What?
Not be in the same room with my husband at night because that is exactly why I have a snack. I'm just gonna say it.
All
I'm
right.
like, oh, that looks good. Okay.
Yeah, brutally honest. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. What did you do?
Well, that is like not because if I
Because that whole environment.
yes, it is because when he's not around, I don't even think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I sit there and go, okay, well, if he's doing it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not
Exactly.
hungry.
Yep.
That's my problem. That's the biggest thing. And plus, then don't buy it, Maureen. And if you don't buy it and it's not in the house, then you can't eat it.
Yes. All right. So that's what I did too. Don't buy them. For the no exercise, I put plan the exercise routine. And
that's a good one. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Cream sauces, I put don't make them. And then larger breakfasts, go to a liquid breakfast, like have a smoothie or something.
Have a smoothie, yeah.
And then wine, limit. Like just limit the, like maybe the days or whatever.
Funny you say that because I did limit that it can't be, it's like Thursday night, Friday night, like, so if I open a bottle of wine on Thursday, if it's not done by Saturday, it has to go away.
Very good.
And
Yep.
I've been doing that. So, which has made me buy less expensive wine because if I'm going to throw it out, then I'm not
Yes.
buy the good stuff, which is like, this is so cool. So I started doing that.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yep. That's the one thing that I'm like, I did that and limited my days, but exercise, I just do every other, I planned it out. Like when we did the calendar thing, it's just something that's been ingrained in me for years now, first thing in the morning. Otherwise my days are really cattywampus if I don't.
Oh yeah. I get it. All right. We're pulling them back in.
Okay. That's so funny.
They have 40 seconds though.
Okay, good. Well, I can tell you, and I can't eat cream sauces, so we never have to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes cooking different things, if it's a holiday or people are over, whatever, people want some kind of thing. So you get creative, but not, I mean, I can make people don't even know it, like a vegan way to do that. So I should have put that in there too, though, because you can do that. And it actually it might be cashews. Like it could be something.
See, and that's what I think I need to do because I can't do cream.
Yeah. Right. So we need to teach you the vegan.
Yeah, that's what I need to know. Cool. That's so funny. That was so funny. It is good. This is cool though. I'm like, hey.
So this is good. Yeah, Triz is a fun one because you really get a. Hello, ladies. We're just laughing at ourselves on how we how we get ourselves back on track here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Laura was just finishing hers up. I didn't get to catch it because we got swapped. So if you don't mind, you were
Oh.
saying you were brushing your teeth and then popping in your night guard.
Yeah. If I can do that if I can get myself to do that after dinner, then it kind of interrupts the nighttime grazing routine that has become a habit.
That's a good idea.
But it's getting myself to do that.
So I have a quick interjection into that one. So Ayurveda in school, we were taught after dinner, brush your teeth right away. Like
Yes.
brush your teeth and you feel that refreshed tingle of the toothpaste or whatever, and it will make you, it's a reminder, like maybe you're done, like kitchen closed. Maybe if you've ended it, like, you know, before you go to bed, you always brush your teeth. Like that's the end of the night. Or when you're up in the morning, whenever you brush your teeth, like that's kind of like shutting it. So it does give that like almost a trigger to tell you.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right. Did anyone
is a good
have
one.
any really good, like Maureen, you had a really good list. Anybody have a really good, funny, like items in their first list? Maureen she had a couple of really good ones.
I had a few silly ones.
What are your silly
Like,
ones?
Lounging on the couch and having ice cream delivered to me. That was one. Being the professional hot dog eater, like joining a hot dog.
Oh my God,
eating
that's so
contest thing.
funny.
What else? Oh, judging both pizza making and baking competitions. Those were some of my fun ones. So.
Yeah, because then you would want to eat them.
Eat
I
'em
had
all.
I had no exercise and buy bigger clothes because that'll always help you be like, oh, I have plenty of room to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
Mine was drink a
had-
lot of beer, and I don't drink beer. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah. I had carbs and fats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks.
That would do it.
That's good.
Those are good. That would do it. Definitely. All right. Who wants to be brutally honest with their list too? Anything in their list that was really like kind of I mean, I like cookies and like those kind of sweets. Like sometimes after I have that savory, salty meal, I immediately want like something sweet. And if I've made, which I bake a lot, I have like cookies or muffins around or something. I'm like, I'll just eat, one more of those. So that's usually because no exercising, I rarely don't exercise, or I do love a large breakfast though. Sometimes I'll make something big and it gets bigger as I'm making it. And I'm like, oh, I made it, might as well eat it. So, all right. And then number 3 is anyone have like a really good one? And then how are they going to stop it, or how are they not going to do that? Maureen, you had a great one.
Well, yeah, because I'm going to kick my husband out of the room, so I can't watch him eat a snack, and then I won't want it.
Yeah. So Maureen actually has
not buying it, because then I'm like, why did I buy it? Oh, I bought it because, duh. But no, I was telling her about wine, and what I do now is I limit the days. Like I'll open a bottle on Thursday, and if it's not done by Saturday, then I have to throw it out, which then caused me to buy less expensive wine, because I'm not going to throw out good wine. So I've also saved it on my budget, and I don't drink as much because I'm like, it's not that great.
Well, I'm laughing because my response would be, well, if I'm going to have to throw it out, I better drink it all.
That
I mean,
would be
it would
me
never
too.
occur to me. It would never
Yeah,
occur to
I
me
just
to
can't.
throw
I
out
can't.
wine.
I can't get past a glass. Like it's like, yeah, it's enough.
Nice.
Really?
Good for
Not
you.
that
That's
it
lucky.
never
More than
used to
one
be
glass?
that way. It's become that way as I'm older. That's all.
I can drink a whole bottle.
Oh
I'm
no,
serious.
not
In,
anymore. I
in
could.
the course of an evening,
Long time ago.
if I start
Yeah.
around 5 o'clock and, I mean, by the time I've had 2 before dinner and then 2 with dinner and 1 after dinner, I mean, that's the bottle. It's
Yeah. That's pretty common. I think that's more common than not, frankly, from most people I
It
know.
is. I just can't do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But again, I used to. This is like years. Yes. But now I'm just like, nah, it's okay.
Yeah. you begin to understand you don't really like that feeling the next day.
No, and I don't sleep as well, which is all
Yeah.
goes into that whole effect of,
Yeah.
is it really worth it? No, it's not. So my treat is, this is what I'll do. And then beyond that, no.
Yeah.
I guess, I've never had a problem sleeping. It doesn't matter what I eat, what time I eat, what I drink. I lay down and I go to bed and I go to sleep.
So lucky.
You are
So
lucky.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I
So,
can't do that.
people say, oh, don't you feel better now? Because it's been almost a month since I've had any alcohol at all.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow, that's
So good.
awesome.
People say, I don't feel any better. I honestly don't. I don't.
Yeah, some people are like that. My hubby's like that too.
Yeah, you think any of it is you're not tapping into any different feeling or any kind of like that like inner feeling, like I can feel it immediately. Like when I stop drinking for a while, it takes a little bit of time. And once I'm done, I'm like, God, yeah, this does feel different. This feels a little bit more clarity, a little bit more, that brain fog that sometimes I can get, like, oh my God, that the next morning when you're kind of like rattling out. But when it becomes kind of I guess too, each body, as you drink more and more and more, and your tolerance gets higher too. And then maybe it takes a different while for the body to shift. But anyone have any great ideas on, so then what are you going to do to stop that? I think we had, oops, wrong one, sorry.
Yeah, mine was to focus again. And I remember you saying this on our last course. If you're eating, the only thing you should be doing is eating. Like, only sit at a table and eat. If you're pissed off or happy, or emotional, don't eat. Walk away and get a cup of water. I've noticed recently, and again, pregnancy is a little different, right? But it's not all that. Like, I've just been watching TV and eating again here and there because I'm tired, I'm exhausted. And then I'm like frustrated with work or family stuff, and I'm shoveling food down at the counter and I'm all pissed off. And then I realize, like, my digestion has been really bad and I haven't been feeling as great, and like my stomach and stuff. And so my number one thing I think is to like stop, is to like get back into that habit of only eating when I'm eating. That's it.
Right. And it makes you more mindful. So if we're back on the losing weight part of it, when you are mindful of what you're eating, when you're actually taking that time to focus on how you're eating, you really do start to notice that your level of like that full level it's actually, you're mindful that it's happening, and you become aware of it faster, and you start to eat less. If you're not paying attention and you're eating quickly, all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, I ate the whole thing, or I ate whatever. But when you take your time and really like allow yourself to just eat more slowly and mindfully, you can say, like, you know what, I had enough. Like, I feel full, I feel good. Push the plate away, instead of being like, oh my God, this tastes so good, I want to like keep going and be, faster. But when you take your time and, maybe you just, sometimes it's really hard because it tastes really good, like to push it away and say, you know what, I'll have the rest of it later or something like that. But yeah, that mindful eating has made a huge difference in different ways that I used to eat, or like a particular taste or flavor of something, and then you'd eat the whole thing just because you liked it. But when you slow down and you really chew longer and take your time, it makes a huge difference. And then again, that whole thing that sets us up for just wanting to, like, now you feel good and you're kind of ready for bed, but your mind is in a better place. And maybe you're going to grab a couple oils. Now you're in a great mood. You can rub your feet a little bit, do a little yin yoga, maybe. I think there's a few yin and there's a few like nighttime yoga nidra, different thing like that you can find in the, I think I put them in the last email that came out with Habit 2. There's a whole bunch of beautiful practices you can do at night, just listening to pretty music. If the weather's beautiful outside, go outside and look at the stars or the moon. Ayurveda believes that moon gazing is also good for your eyesight, because you know how you can focus on the moon without really damaging your eye. but you know how there's like the little black specks and the little different things. So your eye is trying to focus on them, and it actually helps in like repair your ability to adjust and focus. So it's supposed to be very good. That and candle gazing. So if you don't have a moon or stars, and watch the candle, because your eyes are going like back and forth watching the flame. That's a really good Ayurvedic kind of almost a remedy for like strain and eye soreness. Your candle gaze.
That's cool.
So sometimes things like that even kind of set you up at night for that, like just relaxing time, so that we can rest and digest. We want to get out of that fight or flight, or that mode of destroy and destruct, and we want to get into rest and digest. So habit 2 is really, really important now too during COVID. So important, because we're coupling it with habit 1, which is that earlier, lighter dinner. We want to give our bodies as much defense right now in its integrity and its intelligence as we can. Because as we're learning now, you could be vaccinated or not vaccinated, and your chances of getting COVID now are just increasing. And
you know what, for the first time this week, I have been noticing getting tired, like when I'm getting tired, and normally I would push through it, and I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to watch the 11 o'clock news, or I'm going to, do this email, or I'm going to read one more chapter. But one night this week, I was tired, and it was 9 o'clock, and I just said, I'm going to bed. I went to bed at 9, and I didn't wake up until 7 the next day.
Good for you.
That's beautiful. And your body was just like, okay, Laura, we're giving you a cue. And you were like, I hear it. I surrender. I'm going.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I'm hearing that cue, and I'm getting to bed earlier, but I'm still struggling, to try to have dinner, between 6 and 7 is, it's,
just kaizen it. Just do it. Try it once a week. Then you might try it twice a week. Then you might try, and you'll start to like it, because your evenings will be a little bit better. But everyone's their own judge. Like you have to get to the point where it starts to feel better for you, and you actually are like, all right, I'm just not eating later anymore. I mean, I was getting to the point for a while there, and I do it a lot even now. I just eat 2 meals a day, because I eat like one a little bit later, or another one here, and then if it is 3, dinner is so easy or so light. It's like, it's just not, it's so easy.
But, as I was saying to Ashley, it's what happens after dinner. It's the snacking after dinner.
Yeah.
That, that's 50% of my calories for the whole day is what I eat after dinner. In the couple of hours before I go to bed. It's just terrible.
You could take I think there's that, bedtime flow chart thing. There's a couple lines where you can put in there. So maybe you need to, after dinner, get in your car and drive to a beautiful park and sit down and look, or take a drive to someone's house, like go visit a girlfriend, or go do something that you really like to do. Like maybe your trigger is after dinner and your TV or your couch or your something. So everybody has that trigger that, our habit.
Right.
Break the habit, remove the trigger. The trigger, if it's after dinner, your new trigger, your new habit rather, is I'm going to go visit a friend. I'm going to go shop. If something's close to you, like go do something else, put on your sneakers, and maybe your neighborhood's beautiful that night. Go for a walk. Like try to break the habit, because the trigger's there after dinner. Your trigger is after dinner. It's a time. There's,
and
time, place, motion.
Sitting in my chair, my comfy chair, and watching TV.
Yeah.
Or sitting in my comfy chair and doing emails, checking email.
So the trigger is there. The habit has to change. And then the reward will be, you will start to undo that nighttime snacking, which you said is 50% of your calories. So if you do the equation, you could lose 50% of your weight by removing that one habit, which is hard, which is probably the biggest, hardest obstacle. But again, your what and your why, and then how you're going to do it. Your why has to be super.
I'm a nighttime snacker.
So many people
I hear
are.
you. I was a nighttime snacker for so long, and I realized the hard thing for me, I don't naturally love breakfast and lunch. And you had said this to me, Laura, you're always so busy during the day. that like
Mhm.
you're probably hungry at night. If you don't eat enough during the day, you're probably actually really hungry, you know, and that's why you're snacking. Like that was for me at least what was happening. Like I wouldn't eat breakfast. I wouldn't really eat a nice big healthy lunch. I just was powering through my day, grabbing
Mhm.
whatever. So that night I was like freaking hungry. And then
Yeah.
even I noticed that still, if I don't like have a good solid lunch and breakfast, which are like, I have to think about doing that because it's not
Yeah.
like my natural way at all.
Yeah, I had to totally reverse that around too. I would drink a smoothie in the morning or whatever, not much during lunchtime, and then do nighttime. And then it's taking a couple of years now to do it. And Kevin's the same way. Kevin would go to work all day long and just go and not eat anything, and then eat a big dinner, have a couple cocktails, fall sound asleep, and wake up and eat all his snacks then again too. And he's like, I don't understand. I don't eat all day long and I'm gaining weight. I don't get it. I'm like, because you just ate everything at night. Your body's like, I can't handle that. So I'm going to store it here, and I'm going to store it here, and I'm going to store it here. Guys hold it on their bellies and just, back. And then A, cholesterol, B, high blood pressure, like all these things coincide with that extra weight and that extra holding it in these patterns. Remember the heavy weight around the middle for all of us? We become one organ because it's not fat on the outside. The fat goes in and it goes around our organs. It's on every cell. So each cell has a little bit of fat. Then each cluster of cells have a little bit of fat. And on top of that, then it goes into the organs and around it. And in the medical field, this isn't even Ayurveda. Say my dad has a huge beer belly and it's hard. And everybody would say, how is a beer belly hard if it's all fat? He now has an organ. It solidifies your organs into a fat, hard cavity year after year after year. My dad's been doing it. He's 85, so he's probably been doing it 60 years.
Yeah, mine's jiggly fat.
You're okay then.
I have soft jiggly fat.
But it's slowly. And then remember, each cell gets the fat on it, but the cell is supposed to transfer intelligence to the next cell. So stress breaks that, but then the little bits of fat around everyone start to interrupt the intelligence of all our body. What it's telling each cell and everything has its own, little network. That's when disease is allowed to come in too, because the intelligence is broken down. So the cancer cells, the cardiovascular buildup, like all of this different stuff that happens can build up because the intelligence of our cells is no longer intelligent. It's completely like dulling itself down. It's like taking your IQ and just pushing it down and down and down. So we have to get to that point where we want the cognitive development between all of our cells to keep going. So by breaking the fat levels down and the interruptions or that stress or that whatever allows the cells to be healthy again. So get a restful night. Let's try to switch our diet, habits back and forth, depending on what's working. Ash, you're probably going to do better with 6 small meals now. So think of that, like you don't necessarily have to stick with the 3 meals. Your body now is working overtime and it's doing so much. And you don't want to ever feel so full because that's going to interrupt your vata. Now you're in an excessive vata imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
And you want the energy, movement has to go everywhere and do everything. So your vata has to go, but you want to start pushing it down. And you want like those heavier meals, but small, heavy meals to start pushing the energy downward. Because you'll get into, and it actually will calm your mind. It calms your whole body down. And, as you can give yourself smaller, heavier meals, it's easier to digest. You're not going to feel bloated and like all that, because you're going to start feeling shifts. You're going to have your organs are going to start shifting all over the place. So you want to be able to give it that little bits of digestion time after time, but to try to get into like maybe 5 small meals, then you might even need 6 small meals.
Okay. Yeah, I might need to have you help me with a little bit of a laser session because I've been struggling this week, feeling very lethargic and like sluggish. My digestion is not good. And I feel like I'm just being too hard on myself for it. Like this is a different time, like, me, like it's not the same fasting and all things we were doing and lightness and great and room. Like I'm feeling very off kilter. So maybe you can help me out this week.
Yes. Let's do your one-on-one. Then we'll go over that. All right. Any any questions on that or any thoughts for anything we want to work on or anything that wasn't clear, or we good? All right, so this one is really the earlier to bed, and then next week we're going to get into that start your day right. So the 3 of these, the 4 first habits, if we even just think of like COVID alone too, these are going to be the real building blocks of keeping that our healthy, powerful women. Like we really want to work on that. And the first 4 is like really going to be our keystone. That's going to be our structure for it, and for being able to kind of like pull ourselves through this and just become, the future people that we're looking to like have that vision. Who is that? Picture it. Like, what did I want to be that new version of me? What does a person like that already do? Who do I know that's already that? And how do I start doing that? Whoever it is, could be CEO of the biggest company and that's who you want to be, or it could be that, or Ashley, for you, it could be like whatever you're thinking that perfect, or that mom is going to be, or that 9-month pregnant person. Like, how do I start doing this? How do I start living this? So whatever it is for us, picture yourself. How do I do that? How do I already be that person? And really start thinking about, that's where you change it, because you start acting that way. If you keep acting the way you did yesterday, nothing's going to change. If you keep doing the same things you did yesterday and the day before and the day before, you're not evolving. Nothing changes. We're getting a whole bunch of new information, but we're still the same person. So we want to start living like, how does that person do it? I want to do that. And that's how we start to change. That's what we're working on.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I retook the dosha quiz, and there were some shifts in just the month.
That's amazing.
Because
That's
I
awesome.
started walking more, so my vata is now balanced.
Excellent.
My pitta is still elevated,
Mm-hmm.
but the kapha went from high down to elevated. So I had two out of the 3 shifted.
That's awesome.
Very good. So you're getting that
Congratulations.
vata movement, and it's going to break up the kapha. So even like in relationships, if you have a vata, very, very strong vata person, you want to kind of couple that person with a vata or a pitta, because the vata and the pitta person is going to move that kapha in the other person. So there's a fun relationship, switch that we can all, that's a fun one too. All right, ladies, beautiful call. Great. Try to try once or twice this week if you're not already doing it, or if you're not pregnant and want to fall asleep at 7, try to fall asleep a little bit earlier at night and think mindfully, how can I make that happen? Maybe I want oil on my feet, or, maybe tomorrow I want to wake up and be that healthy, powerful woman. All right.
Okay.
See you, girls.
Bye.
And Ashley,
Night, everybody.
have a good night, everyone. Ashley, make your call. Set up
Definitely.
a call. Oh, and the website, I'm going to send out an email. The website, the membership portion is ready. So I'm going to give you instructions. You're just going to go onto my website, look up in the corner where it has a member portion, and then you're going to create your login and put your information, and your courses that you sign up for will be in your member section.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, ladies. Have a great night.
Great. Bye, ladies.
Night.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, everyone.